YouTube, we back at it, man. What's going on, everybody? This is your Words by Waters for short. Back at it, doing something new. Been thinking about it for a while. If y'all didn't see the last video I had did, starting this new journey, it was something that I like to call books for better living, and pretty much just books that I felt that have changed my life. It's not the normal. Hold on, let me, gotta get the vibe right. I'm tripping. I'm big tripping. I ain't even like the Palo Santo yet. If y'all remember following me way back in the day, I used to have the Palo Santo and the Sage lit doing every video. So I got to continue that tradition. I'm like, I'm tripping. I ain't even got the Palo Santo lit. Come on now, my boy. Hold on, let me light that up one time for y'all. But yeah, like I was saying, books for better living is just me giving my perspective on books. It's not the normal booktube. It's not the normal book reviews, and I'm just mostly talking about how I think this book is and my opinion on this book. I think we have enough of that. I just want to be able to connect with people more, and I think the best way to connect is to share your experience. So my goal is to share my experience with how a certain book has changed my life. So that's what the last video was about. That's why I introduced this new, I don't know what to call it, y'all. What segment? I don't know. But that's why I introduced this new journey that I'm on. Books for better living. And I will only post books that I felt that have changed my life. And eventually I'm sure I get to books that I think can potentially change my life based off of what other people said. But I'm like, there's no experience like your own. So my goal is to talk about books that I felt have changed my life drastically at that, like drastically. And the one that I talked about last time, I think this is good. This is a good size Palo Santo. Like, if y'all know about Palo Santo, shouts out to South America, Peru. It's always good to have a Palo Santo of like this size. You see how like it's not too thick. These ones like so well. Them other thick ones, you'll burn a whole lighter fluid inside of a lighter trying to get it lit. But anyway, and I'm working on saying y'all, like being a great, like all those little filler words in, working on becoming a great orator. And you cannot be a great orator if you're using filler words like and like, and you know what I mean. And sometimes I just like keeping it street. So, but that's what those books are about, better living. The one that I started off with and that I introduced first in the first book was actually this one, Richest Man in Babylon. As the dude in the audiobook says, the richest man in Babylon. He has like a little accent. At least one of the audiobooks I heard it on. I don't even know what audiobook that is, to be honest. But said it again. But this book right here is the book that I will be doing. Another thing that I introduced in my last video, which is called Books in Bed. And it's pretty much me just reading the book the same way I would read a book when I'm in the bed, when I'm by myself. Except I'm reading it out loud on YouTube. And I think that's actually great though, because it's amazing how the things that we hear when we're kids, we really don't think applies to our lives until we get older and we really notice it. And I say really notice it when you're actually paying attention. Because I think there's people who are older and they still don't pay attention and they still haven't noticed certain things. So they really hasn't hit them yet to have that epiphany or that wow moment where they're like, yo, this mattered as a kid. I just was too young to recognize it. And I say that to say the importance of being able to read out loud. You know, and I'm like, I grew up in the 90s in Atlanta, and it wasn't the projects or the, like, it was the hood. I ain't gonna lie. It was like a high middle class poor neighborhood. But I grew up in that neighborhood, and I grew up in a time where being intelligent was really, really, really something you didn't want to do, especially being like black or minority. Like, I grew up in a predominantly like Latino neighborhood, predominantly black neighborhood. So if it's in Atlanta, you might know Buford Highway. Like, what back then, now it's called Brookhaven, but way back then it was just North Atlanta, and Brookhaven was like almost within that area, but it was mostly called North Atlanta, Druid Hills area, North Druid Hills. And that area was just predominantly Latinos. like Colombiano, Mexicano, Dominicano, todo eso, like, and then black people. And mostly it was black people, for of course, obviously. But I'm saying it to say, like, during that time period, you couldn't do anything to seem like you were intelligent or you would get made fun of. And I know that was probably happening all across America. I'm sure it was. And it's weird because I see kids doing that on YouTube now, and it's like they making fun of each other for being smart. And I'm just like, I guess so, man. I guess things come back. Hold on, let me ash this. I'm going to ash this real quick, y'all, inside my candle. My bad. But it just makes me so grateful to understand the importance of something like that, because some people probably don't, even at older age. And it's so important to read out loud. Like, it is so important to read out loud. It helps with your pronunciation. It helps you articulate your words and know how to communicate yourself without getting stomped on filler words and be like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, and I do that even reading books out loud and speaking Spanish. Like, I'm not super fluent speaking Spanish, but I'm good enough to, if I needed to go to a Spanish speaking country, I can hold it down and navigate and make money, and I can make a way. I wouldn't be like confused and lost. Definitely. And I do that with my books that I read in Spanish. I read them out loud. So that's what this segment is about, y'all. So welcome to Books in Bed with Waters. I just be reading. Over time, my videos have thumbnails and all that, but I just love the rawness to it. I love telling the truth, and I'm like, you are who you are for, and everybody is not for everyone, and everything isn't for everyone, but there is something for everyone. So with that being said, let's get to it. Get the vibe right, and the vibe will get better. I'm gonna definitely set the vibe tone. If you notice where my last set was, when I was in my last spot, the set was way better. It was bigger. I had a whole room. I had the whole studio set up. But I downsized and did a couple little things, made a couple little better financial moves. Sacrifice. So now my setup is a little bit different, but with time, things all change. Ebbs and flows, y'all, peaks and valleys. I love the journey. Let me put my Palo Santo up. I got some candles lit. These candles right here. I don't know if I can see it, but I like these little Scorpio candles right there. I am a Scorpio. I'm an October Scorpio, so I don't know how Scorpio I am, but I'll be feeling like a Scorpio. October 28th to be exact. Yeah, these smell good. I got these from Target. I call them Target because I used to go to Target back in the 90s when folks really wasn't even rocking with Target. Like, it was like when we was like hood, and going to Target was like, going to Target was actually rich folk stuff, and it still somewhat is like higher upper end, but like going to Target was rich folk stuff, because that was back in the day when they had stores like, well, in Atlanta at least. I know they have all different type of stores there in America, but this was back in the day when they had stores like like Kmart, and Big Lots is way more popular than it is now, and I think Big Lots is selling for like $17 a share and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that was back in the day. So if you was going to Target, aka Target, we was calling it Target back then you was really, you know what I'm saying, you had a little shmoney back then. You had, you know what I'm saying, you had a little bit of money in it back then. All right, let's get to it, y'all. Enough rambling off. The Richest Man in Babylon, George S. Clason. I think that's how you pronounce his name. There you go. Forward. Here you go. Our prosperity as a nation depends upon the personal financial prosperity of each of us as individuals. This book deals with the personal success of each of us. Success means accomplishments as the result of our own efforts and abilities. Proper preparation is the key to our success. Our acts can be no wiser than our thoughts. Our thinking can be no wiser than our understanding. Man, that's powerful. This book of cures for lean purses has been termed a guide to financial understanding. That, indeed, is its purpose: to offer those who are ambitious for financial success and insight which will aid them to acquire money, to keep money, and to make their surpluses earn more money. In the pages which follow, we are taken back to Babylon, the cradle in which was nurtured the basic principles of finance now recognized and used in the world over. To new readers, the author is happy to extend wish that its pages may contain for them the same inspiration for growing bank accounts, greater financial successes, and the solution for difficult personal finance problems so enthusiastically reported by readers from coast to coast. To the business executives who have distributed these tales in such generous quantities to friends, relatives, employees, and associates, the author takes this opportunity to express his gratitude. No endorsement could be higher than that of practical men who appreciate his teachings because they themselves have worked up to important successes by applying the very principles it advocates. Babylon became the wealthiest city of the ancient world because its citizens were the richest people of their time. They appreciated the value of money. They practiced sound financial principles in acquiring money, keeping money, and making their money earn more money. They provided for themselves what we all desire, incomes for the future. GSC. Ain't that the truth? So then it says the contents, foreword, the man who desired gold, the richest man in Babylon, 7 cures for a lean purse, meet the goddess of good luck, the 5 laws of gold, the gold lender of Babylon, the walls of Babylon, the camel trader of Babylon, the clay tablets from Babylon, the luckiest man in Babylon, an historical sketch of Babylon. The richest man in Babylon. Chapter 1. The man who desired gold. Bantir, the chariot builder of Babylon, was thoroughly discouraged. From his seat sat upon the low wall surrounding his property. He gazed sadly at his simple home and the open workshop in which stood a partially completed chariot. His wife frequently appeared at the open door. Her furtive glances in her direction reminded him that the meal bag was almost empty and he should be at work finishing the chariot, hammering and hewing, polishing and painting, stretching taut the leather over the wheel rims, preparing it for delivery so he could collect from his wealthy customer. Nevertheless, his fat, muscular body sat stolidly upon the wall. His slow mind was struggling patiently with the problem for which he could find no answer. The hot tropical sun, so typical of this valley of the Euphrates, beat down upon him mercilessly. Beads of perspiration formed upon his brow and trickled down unnoticed to those themselves in the hairy jungle on his chest. To lose themselves in the hairy jungle of his chest, Beyond his home towered the high terrace wall surrounding the king's palace. Nearby, cleaving the blue heavens, was the painted tower of the Temple of Baal. In the shadow of such grandeur was his simple home and many other far less neat and well cared for. Babylon was like this, a mixture of grandeur and squalor, of dazzling wealth and dearest poverty, crowded together with plan or system within the protecting walls of the city. Behind him he had cared to turn and look. The noisy chariots of the rich jostled and crowded aside the sandaled tradesman as well as the barefooted beggars. Even the rich were forced to turn into the gutters to clear the way for the long lines of slave water carriers on the king's business, each bearing a heavy goat skin of water to be poured upon the hanging gardens. Bantir was too engrossed in his own problem to hear or heed the confused hubbub of the busy city. It was the unexpected twanging of the strings from a familiar lyre that aroused him from his reverie. He turned and looked into the sensitive, smiling face of his best friend, Kabi, the musician. "May the gods bless thee with great liberty, my good friend," began Kabi with an elaborate salute. "Yet it does appear they have already been so generous thou needst not to labor. I rejoice with thee in thy good fortune. More I would even share it with thee. Pray from thy purse, which must be bulging, else thou wouldst be busy in young shop. Extract but 2 humble shekels and lend them to me until after the nobleman feast this night. Thou wilt not miss them ere they are returned." "If I did have 2 shekels," Bantir responded gloomily, "to no one could I lend them, not even to you, my best of friends, for they would be my fortune, my entire fortune. No one lends his entire fortune, not even to his best friend." Ain't that the truth? What exclaimed Kabi with genuine surprise. "Thou hast not 1 shekel in thy purse, yet sit like a statue upon a wall? Why not complete that chariot? How else can thou provide for thy noble appetite? 'Tis not like thee, my friend. Where is thy endless energy? Doth something distress thee? Have the gods brought to thee troubles? A torment from the gods it must be, Banser agreed. It began with a dream, a senseless dream, in which I thought I was a man of means. For my belt hung a handsome purse heavy with coins. There were shekels which I cast with careless freedom to the beggars. There were pieces of silver which I did buy finery for my wife, and whatever I did desire for myself. There were pieces of gold which made me feel assured of the future and unafraid to spend the silver. A glorious feeling of contentment was within me. You would have not known me for thy hard-working friend, nor would have known my wife. So free from wrinkles was her face and shining with happiness. She was again the smiling maiden of our early married days. A pleasant dream indeed, commented Kabi. But why should such pleasant feelings as it is roused turn thee into a gloom statue upon the wall? Why, indeed? Because when I woke and remembered how empty was my purse, a feeling of rebellion swept over me. Let us talk it over together. For as the sailors do say, we ride in the same boat, we two. As youngsters, we went together to the priest to learn wisdom. As young men, we shared each other's pleasures. As grown men, we have always been close friends. We have been contented subjects of our kind. We have satisfied to work long hours and spend our earnings freely. We have earned much coin in the years that have passed. Yet to know the joys that come from wealth, we must dream about them. Bah! Are we more than dumb sheep? We live in the richest city in all the world. The travelers do say none equals in its wealth. About us is much display of wealth, but of it we ourselves have naught. After half a lifetime of hard labor, thou, my best of friends, hast an empty purse and says to me, may I borrow such a trifle as 2 shekels until after the nobleman's feast this night? Then what do I reply? Do I say, here is my purse, it contents will I gladly share? No, I admit that my purse is as empty as thine. What is the matter? Why can't we acquire silver and gold more than enough for food and robes? Consider also our sons, Banser continued. Are they not following in the footsteps of their fathers? Need they and their families and their sons' families live all their lives in the midst of such treasures of gold, and yet, like us, be content to banquet upon sour goat's milk and porridge? Never in all the years of our friendship didst thou talk like this before, Banser. Kabi was puzzled. Never in all those years did I think like this before. From early dawn until darkness stopped me, I have labored to build the finest chariots any man could make, soft-heartedly hoping someday the gods will recognize my worthy deeds and bestow upon me great prosperity. This they have never done. At last I realize this they will never do. Therefore my heart is sad. I wish to be a man of means. I wish to own lands and cattle, to have fine robes and coins in my purse. I am willing to work for these things with all the strength in my back, with all the skill in my hands, with all the cunning in my mind, but I wish my labors to be fairly rewarded. What is the matter with us? Again, I asked you, why can we not have our just share of the good things so plentiful for those who have the gold with which to buy them? Would I knew an answer, Kabi replied. No better than thou am I satisfied. My earnings for my lira are quickly gone. Often must I plan and scheme that my family be not hungry. Also, within my breast is a deep longing for a lyre large enough that it may truly sing the strains of music that do surge through my mind. With such an instrument, could I make music finer than even the king has heard before? Such a lyre thou shalt have. No man in all Babylon can make it sing more sweetly, could make it sing so sweetly. Not only the king, but the gods themselves will be delighted. But how mayest thou secure it while we both of us are as poor as the king's slaves? Listen to the bell. Here they come. He pointed to the long column of half-naked, sweating water-bearers plodding laboriously upon the narrow street far from the river. 5 abreast they marched, each bent under a heavy goatskin of water. A fine figure of a man, he who doth lead them. Kabi indicated the wearer of the bell who marched in front without a load. A prominent man in his own country, 'tis easy to see. There are many good figures in the line, Banser agreed, as good men as we. Tall, blond men from the north, laughing black men from the south, little brown men from the nearer countries, all marching together from the river to the gardens, back and forth, day after day, year after year. Now of happiness to look forward to, beds of straw upon which to sleep, hard green porridge to eat, Pity the poor brutes, Colby. Pity them I do, yet thou dost make me see how little better off are we, free men though we call ourselves. That is true, Colby, unpleasant thought though it be. We do not wish to go on year after year living slavish lives, working, 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 getting nowhere. Might we not find out how others acquire gold and do as they do? Colby inquired. Perhaps there is some secret we might learn if we sought from those who knew, replied Banser thoughtfully. This very day, suggested Colby, I did pass our old friend Arcad riding in his golden chariot. This I will say, he did not look over my humble head as many in his station might consider his right. Instead, he did wave his hand, and that all onlookers might see him pay greetings and bestow his smile of friendship upon Colby, the musician. He is claimed to be the richest man in all Babylon, Banser mused. So rich the king is said to seek his golden aid in affairs of the treasury, Colby replied. So rich, Banser interrupted. I fear if I should meet him in the darkness of the night, I should lay my hands upon his fat wallet. Nonsense, replied Colby. A man's wealth is not in the purse he carries. A fat purse quickly empties if there's be no golden stream to refill it. Facts, you got to have that passive income. Arcad has an income that constantly keeps his purse full no matter how liberally he spends. Income, that is the thing, ejaculated Banser. I wish an income that will keep flowing into my purse whether I sit upon the wall or travel to far lands. See, I love that. You see right there in that part, y'all, he's talking about passive income right there. Arcad must know how a man can make an income for himself. Thou suppose it is something he could make clear to a man as slow as mine? Methinks he did teach his knowledge to his son. No, monsieur, Colby responded. Did he not go to Nineveh, and so it is told at the end, become without aid from his father, one of the richest men in the city? Colby, thou bringest to me a rare thought. A new light gleamed in Banser's eyes. It costs nothing to ask wise advice from a good friend, and Arcad was always that. Never mind though our purses be as empty as the falcon's nest of a year ago. Let that not detain us. We are weary of being without gold in the midst of plenty. We wish to become men of means. Come, let us go to Arcad and access how we also may acquire incomes for ourselves. Thou speakest with truth inspiration, Banser. Thou bringest to me my mind a new inspiration and understanding. Thou makest me realize the reason why we have never found any measure of wealth. We never sought it. Wow, that's amazing. They never found it because they never looked for it. Thou hast labored patiently to build the stoutest chariots in Babylon. To that purpose was devoted your best endeavors. Therefore, edst thou didst succeed. I strove to become a skillful lyre player, and edit I did succeed. In those things towards which we exerted our best endeavors, we succeeded. The gods were content to let us continue thus. Now at last we see a light bright like that from the rising sun. It biddeth us to learn more that we may prosper more. With the new understanding, we shall find honorable ways to accomplish our desires. Let us go to Arcad this very day, Banser urged. Also, let us ask other friends of our boyhood days who have fared no better than ourselves to join us that they too may share in his wisdom. Thou wert ever thus thoughtful of thy friends, Banser. Therefore hast thou many friends. It shall be as thou sayest. We go this day and take them with us. And that's chapter 1 for y'all, man. I love that. It's so amazing. Let me take a little water break real quick. You know what I'm saying? Do I have any water in here, though? Nope. Dry as they pockets. But it's amazing because the way this book is written, he's putting so many different principles in the book. He's talking about what you don't find until you seek. You don't find something until you know what it is you're looking for, and then you actually search for it. He says here, thou makes me to realize the reason we have never found any measure of wealth. We never sought it. And then over here, he talks about passive income. A fat purse quickly empties if there is to be no golden stream to refill it. Arcad has an income that constantly keeps his purse full no matter how liberally he spends. And then this is the part that makes it passive. He realized, okay, income is important. Having something to keep coming in. But you're not free if you're trading your time for your money like we talked about before. So it's like the goal is to stop working for money. Like, I think people should get in their hearts and be like super fucking convicted. It's like, working for money is stupid. It's dumb. There's so many other things that you can work for. You can still work, but just don't do it for money. And that's the part that is so inspiring. He says he needs to have a golden stream to refill it. But then in the second part, Arcot says, I wish an income that will keep flowing into my purse, whether I sit upon a wall or travel to far lands. He said, keep flowing into my purse, whether I sit upon the wall or travel to far lands. Sitting upon a wall, that means he ain't doing shit. So whether you sitting upon a wall or traveling to far lands, so whether I'm sitting, relaxing, being with my family, being with my kids, being with my girl, if you're with your husband, with your boyfriend, if you're with your loved ones, your partner, whatever you have going on, you're not thinking about making money, whether you're sitting down or relaxing, or whether you're traveling or you're on vacation. So like all these things that they're saying are things that we're doing, and that applies to this day, to this present day, and to this present day more than ever. We have so many other things that we can do that allow us to not have to work for money, but it's a flip side to that. And I'm gonna spend this last 4 minutes, it look like I'm at 30 minutes of my recording, but we have so many other things that we can do besides spend time making money. And on the flip side, it's kind of like that's a gift and a curse, because if you are distracted, then you're not focusing on the things that can assist you in getting your freedom and buying your freedom, and pretty much deeming yourself worthy and valuable in the marketplace so you can become free. And I say on the flip side, because if you don't do that, then you're stuck and you're distracted doing all the other things that you don't do when you're not making money, which is the stuff you should be doing instead of making money. But the part of the game is proving that you're worthy enough to do it. So you have to sacrifice in the beginning. You have to work these jobs. You have to work these jobs, and you have to do all of these tasks till you figured out a way to say, you know what? I'll make the exact same money that I was making, my earned income. Now it's passively. And there's so many people that's doing it, so many different ways, from what I'm on right now, YouTube. So many people getting so much money from YouTube, stocks, passive income stocks, dividend stocks. There's so many different ways, but you just have to figure out what works for you so you can have that mentality. You can have that life, he says, that will keep flowing into my purse, whether I sit upon the wall and travel to far lands. And the flip side, like I said, is a lot of people get caught up, and instead of doing what they got to do in the beginning and handling their business and focusing on saying, okay, you know what, I might not know what I want to do. And this is something I tell all my friends, tell any girl that I've dated or any relationship I've been in. You might not know what you want to do with your life, and that's okay. But it's an issue when you're not dedicated and obsessed. I mean, fucking obsessed, y'all. When you're not obsessed with figuring it out and at least solving that issue of not knowing what it is. Because knowing and recognizing and identifying is one of the first problems. It's like you don't know what to go after if you don't know what that going after is and what that thing is. But the way to solve that is become obsessed with figuring that out. So a lot of times, instead of trying to just sacrifice, work a job, build a plan, know where you're going, know what your steps are, plans mess up, but it's better to have one than not have one. Instead of doing that, people doing all the other things that aren't working, that aren't putting energy towards your future and towards your goal. And this book is going to talk about that. We're going to get through this whole book together, so I hope y'all stick around. But that is the part that is the scariest thing about having so many options. Once upon a time, we didn't have telephones. We didn't have telephones. We didn't have computers. We didn't have all these things that took our mind away from labor. Of course, you still had homeless people. You still had poor people that will always be there because it's a mind thing. Beyond slavery, beyond blood money, because at the end of the day, all of this shit is blood money. The world used to be based off of who was the most intellectual warrior. Just go fuck people, take their land, make them have your religion. Man, anybody who's anybody can admit that. Whether you want to believe it's truth or not, it's up to you. But once upon a time, that's how we all live. But now we have more equal ground, and there will always be people who are lazier and don't want to do anything, and that poor mentality is instilled in them. But that's the hard part about it, is not falling victim to all of the distractions and all the options that should be great if you were on your shit and you had your life together. But because you're not, you're choosing that instead. So appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope this is something that y'all want to see. You know, I know it ain't much. It's just me sitting in damn bed reading, you know, talking and acting a fool. But appreciate y'all, all the viewers. Remember to subscribe, like, follow, all of the things that everybody says, just for the algorithm. And plus, I believe this is something that people need. I want to bring value. I want people's lives to be better. I want us to raise our consciousness as a society, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be levels. It's always going to be poor. It's always going to be rich. It's always going to be bad. Always going to be good. Always going to be light. It's always going to be dark. So, I mean, there's nothing around that, but at least we can try to have the best life that we think we deserve. And freedom. Remember, freedom is the goal. Remember to write your world into existence. All right, love. Waters out.